Hello everyone, it's time for one more video, and this time I'm going to take you through NISM series 10B Investment Advisor Level 2. It's more about sharing my own experience rather than taking you through any specific questions or queries. Let me just tell you that I have cleared this exam and I would like to share my experience with all of you so that while you are preparing for the exam, you have the necessary inputs available with you. Just to tell the viewers, as they often ask through emails, whether you have cleared this exam or and have you yourself attempted this exam. So just to tell them that yes, I have done this exam, which is NISM level 2 investment advisor exam, which I have passed. I have hidden other details because they are sensitive, so I'm not sharing other details over here. Now let me move to the assessment structure of this particular exam. The investment advisor level 2 certification examination has 6 caselets, and that is the toughest part of this exam. While you can solve other questions much more easily, these caselets are time consuming. So I will come to these caselets in detail at a later stage. But what you need to focus on is that these caselets have around 60 marks. Okay, so since they have 60 marks, they impact your final result, and that's why you need to be very well prepared for these caselets. Multiple choice questions that you will get in these exams are not easy at the same time, but they don't consume much time because you can solve them rather quickly. There are very few calculations which are there. Okay, so effectively in the level 2, you will come across 90 questions of 1 marks each, and then you have 6 caselets that you get. So essentially in these 6 caselets you have 5 sub questions, so you will be attempting in all 120 questions, and you need to secure 60 marks to pass it. So that's how the structure of the exam is. Now let me tell you that if you're preparing for this exam, it's in terms of content, it's very extensive, especially the tax planning part. On the tax planning there are multiple chapters in this particular module, but unfortunately or fortunately, okay, you don't get those many questions on tax planning. Okay, there are limited questions that you tend to get on tax planning. This is what is my experience, and I have also spoken from some other participants who have successfully completed this module. While you need to go through the tax planning, also, okay, focus more on what are the investments that are exempt from taxation, and also focus on what is the tax rate which is applicable. And one very important area that you need to focus on is in the tax planning portion is the categorization of the resident status of an individual, whether you are resident, non-resident. Typically there is 1 or 2 questions that is asked on that, but at this time let me just give you some insights here. When you are preparing for this particular exam, you need to be focusing on 4 broad areas. Okay, so I'm not talking about tax planning because it consumes almost 40 to 50% of the entire book content. But in terms of coverage, in terms of questions, you don't get those many questions on taxation. That is what is my experience and experience of some other participants and some other successful candidates whom I have spoken to. So where should the focus be? You should focus on insurance planning. You will get many questions from them. What kind of questions I will elaborate later. You need to specifically read estate planning. Estate planning is a little tricky area because there are a lot of legal aspects involved in this: will, probate, bequeath, the Succession Act, the Hindu Marriage Act. Okay, all those aspects are kind of technical and tricky, so you need to go through that. Retirement planning is also one area where you need to focus on, because you will get specific questions related to these areas, so you can score more if you focus on them. And then financial planning need analysis, that's very important. How much money I need when I retire, how much money will I need for children's education, all those calculations through PV, FV functions, XIRR functions. You need to focus on all that to learn. So let me tell you about insurance first. Okay, so in insurance, you need to definitely go through the difference between the top up and super top up. Okay, so super top up and top up difference, what is exactly the difference and how the calculation works. You will typically get questions on this. Okay, so please go through this part of the content in the book. Insurance need analysis. I mean, how much insurance coverage a person would require given his monthly expense, the loans that he has, okay, the liabilities that he has. You need to really work on that. And thankfully, there is a case study in the insurance chapter itself on this. So you can go through that particular case study, revise it twice or thrice, because that will really help you to prepare in an organized way for that particular case study. You must know what is copay and what are deductibles. There are calculations related to this that you will get, and the calculations can be tricky. I mean, what should be applied first, copay or deductible? You need to know that, and you need to prepare for that. So just focus on those areas. Principles of insurance, the subrogation, the insurable interest, the uberema fidei or utmost good faith, all those areas you need to have a small two-liners write up to really relate to that when you are faced with the questions. Critical illness policy, how it is different from other policies. It's not same as the health insurance policy that you buy. Okay, and then types of insurance broker. So typically what would happen is that there will be a question on who is a composite broker, who is a insurance agent, all those things. So there is a chapter in which all this has been detailed out. Please go through that. And finally, indemnity versus defined benefit, how do you segregate them? And what I'm trying to say here is that if you cover these areas, specific areas, you will be able to be in a position to attempt some of the questions really comfortably without having any kind of challenge or issue. And do read these things time and again, solve the problems related to them time and again, create your own case study. I will also come out with case studies later, but as of now it is more of an experience sharing just with you. Okay, now moving further, let me tell you that you can also focus on state planning. As I said in the beginning, it's a very important area. Why state planning is important? Because it has got certain legal aspects attached to it. So then what you do is that you read will. What is will? What are the types of will? Will, probate, bequeath, these areas you need to focus on. Who is the executor in a will? Who is the beneficiary? How is the benefit going to be there? Okay, distributed as per which law? Where the registration of will is mandatory, which states you need to know, because you can have tricky questions related to that. How is succession planning different from a legal hire or passing of the wealth to the next generation? That needs to be understood. What is codicil? Because it's a modification of the will that you can do. Okay, but what are the terms and conditions attached to that? You need to know. Succession Act, and which are the acts applicable to different religions. How Hindus get succession, how Muslims get it, how Christians will get succession. And Marriage Women Properties Act is one act through which also related to which also you may get some questions, so you need to prepare for that also. Okay, so these are the focus areas on state planning. Please try to make a note, kind of make some notes for this and be very clear about this, because you may, apart from getting questions, you may also get case studies on this, okay, which I will talk as I proceed. Okay, now when it comes to retirement planning, it's very important for us to know that there are various kinds of retirement products available. Like you have retirement products which are there. Senior citizen saving schemes is there. You have Vaya Vandana Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Vaya Vandana Yojana. You have the NPS, you have EPF. There are many types of investments which are done for retirement. So prepare a chart which will specify what are the investments that you can make, whether it is tax exempt, what is the minimum investment that you require, the period for which you can do it, is there any extension possible. You can make a grid on that, because you typically get questions related to that, and it will be difficult to recollect it. But if you make a chart, comparative chart, that will really help you. You must also know about the replacement ratio of the income, how the income gets replaced through what kind of planning that you can do. And gratuity and superannuation. Superannuation is a concept on which typically you will get 1 or 2 MCQ, which will be easier to crack if you focus on all these areas. Okay, so these are some of the aspects that you need to kind of work on when it comes to retirement planning. Now finally, moving to one more important area is case studies. What to expect in case study? You will get multiple case studies. Okay, as you saw, 6 case studies. So where are the case studies focused on? So you will typically get one case study related to state planning. Okay, so you need to be very conversant with the state planning part of the financial planning. You will get case studies which are legal, technical. So typically whether the son will get the ownership, or daughters will get, or sister will get, or anybody, say there is a help in the family who has been added as one of the beneficiary, what happens to that, whether a will needs to be registered or not. All those things will come to you as part of question. One question or one case study that you will get is on the approach towards financial planning, a simple case study in which you will have questions like, there's a person who is having this kind of a situation. That person, is say 30 years old, wants to study further, wants to save for study, and then there will be 5 questions related to that, then that you need to work on. You will have one case study which will be either on the insurance planning, or if you break it up, the case studies questions, and add them together, you will have effectively one equivalent to one case study on insurance planning, because sometimes insurance planning questions are broken into and put into multiple case study, or sometimes they are consolidated and put as one case study itself. Okay, you will get 3 case studies on financial planning. Now in financial planning, what are the case studies? So how much money will a person require for retirement? Example 1. How to calculate debt to income ratio? How will that get changed? For instance, when somebody gets something in inheritance and pays one of the loans, how will that change? You need to work on that. Investment required for retirement. How much monthly saving should be there? That is where you need to know PV, FV function. You need to know XIR, IRR functions very well, so that you can apply them. Okay, and future cash flow management also, there will be case study. For instance, there is a person who wants 5 lakh rupees for the study of his child 5 years from now. Okay, or the current cost of study is 5 lakh rupees, and after 5 years the money is required, how much money should be saved, and all that. Okay, and there are case studies given in the workbook. You must practice all of them, because the final case studies are different, but there are certain questions that you will be able to solve, if you solve those case studies on your own. That's the benefit that you will have. Okay, so I thought I will share my experience, because it's very important for everybody to know how to pass an exam. Okay, I'm sure you have your own capability, but this video I hope will help you to achieve that. Okay, I have put my email ID in the subsequent a slide, which is now appearing here on the screen. In case you have any queries or questions, you can write to me. If you want me to solve any case study, or put any kind of questions for practice, do write to me in the comment section of my video, and I will come back to you at the suitable time with those case studies and videos. Thank you for watching this. Thank you so much.